Now this is the kind of life every man dreams of. To escape the city's endless noise, he spent his entire savings buying a 100-acre forest in Canada. He gathered raw logs and began building a cabin. 2.5 years later, he turned a desolate patch of wilderness into a dream estate. As a true wilderness enthusiast, James gave up a $1 million acting career and poured all his savings into this 40-acre slice of freedom. He plans to build his own home completely by hand. Knowing it won't be finished overnight, he starts with a temporary shelter first. Luckily, his loyal companion Big Black stands guard, letting James sleep soundly inside his tent. By morning, James clears away the brush around him so he can mark out the boundaries of his new home. It doesn't need to be huge, just big enough for him and Big Black. Snowflakes begin to fall from the sky, but not even the storm can slow him down. Soon he's dug a perfect trench for the foundation. Right on time, his friend arrives bringing exactly what he needs most: gravel and sand. They spread it evenly across the four corners, forming a sturdy base that won't sink in the snow. The next morning, under golden sunlight, his careful planning starts to pay off. He hooks up a portable power station to a solar panel with enough sunlight. Power will never be a problem again. Determined to finish his dream home, he works through every storm, wind, or snow. It doesn't matter. James keeps gathering timber from the forest. Good thing he owns the entire woods, otherwise, he'd owe 2 years of free lunches. He burns through countless chains and saw teeth, and countless freezing nights whispering to the wind. But like the sunrise that never fails to return, effort always brings reward. Before he can use the logs, they must go through a careful debarking. This smooth process removes hidden insects and prevents mold from forming later. Every detail counts when winter's your neighbor. Fresh snow on the ground makes hauling easier. Logs glide like sleds behind him. He lays them onto the base, fastening each with 20-centimeter steel spikes. To make sure the walls join perfectly, each log must be finely adjusted until no daylight peeks through the seams. He drives in threaded steel rods, so nothing shifts under the snow's weight. As the walls climb higher and higher, his 6-foot frame suddenly feels small. The snow makes footing slick, and nails go astray more than once. So he rigs 2 stout timbers as rails, fixing equal spacing between the ends. Now, hauling logs upward is smooth as ice. A good day starts with a hot shower, followed by a steaming cup of coffee. Add a swirl of syrup to fuel up for another frozen day ahead. The cabin isn't tall enough for the roof yet, but it's time to carve out the doorway. Dozens of pounds of tools move in his hands like toys. With a few swings, an opening appears in the wall. That night, James spots bear and wolf tracks in the snow nearby. Clearly, a thin tent won't protect him much longer. The cabin's completion just became urgent. He calls his cousin from afar and tempts him over with the promise of grilled meat and rich sauce. That way, he'll be extra motivated to work harder. When the walls finally reach the planned height, it's time to bid farewell to his free labor. After all, supplies in the tent are running low. The next day, James hauls up new provisions from the valley, along with a truckload of finished lumber. He uses them to build a simple wooden scaffold, a platform to make the next phase of work easier. Once one gable wall is set in place, before starting on the other, he installs the attic beams overhead. But with rounded log walls, he needs to shave the surface smooth so the planks can fit snugly together. He wedges the beams tight between the walls, fastening both ends with angle brackets. They can easily support over 200 pounds. To prevent any shifting, he adds short braces in between. Once the planks are fixed above, you could practically dance up there without worry. Though winter is nearly gone, the daylight hours are still painfully short. James spends the days gathering stacks of firewood so he can rest warmer at night. This time of year, birch trees awaken from dormancy, perfect for tapping their sweet sap. He boils off the moisture over a big fire, turning it into golden birch syrup, a staple on Canadian tables. Between sap collection runs, he builds the second gable wall. With yesterday's experience, the process goes twice as smoothly. The main ridge beam, heaviest of all, takes every ounce of strength to lift into place. He bolts it firmly to both gable ends. But with the cabin sitting in a low spot, the melting snow pools underneath. So he digs a drainage trench by hand, channeling the water safely away. The next morning brings another heavy snowfall, but luckily he had already covered the second floor. James quickly sweeps the snow away and installs the top joists. They're fastened tightly with steel brackets, ready for roof boards to go on next. Each plank is notched carefully. As the last of the forest snow melts away, spring finally arrives. A new year, a new beginning. James faces the mirror, shaves his beard clean, and the handsome man beneath returns. With the weather finally fair, he installs the remaining roof boards. Since space inside is limited, he adds 2 extra support beams in front. Once planked over, they'll serve perfectly as a storage loft. Next, he mounts fascia boards along the eaves and seals the roof tight with plywood sheets. Lately, the weather's been relentless. Even his tent has started to leak. Determined not to let his new home turn into a waterfall, James skips rest and starts waterproofing, so it locks flush against the wall, airtight, snow-tight. Building a log cabin is no small task. The waterproof layer is just the first of many. He installs a wooden frame on top to support the roof shingles later. Even if a little water seeps in someday, the slope will carry it safely off the roof. In the wild, resourcefulness is survival. On a walk, he spots a pile of scrap metal roofing and without hesitation, hauls it home. It's the perfect fix for his current emergency. Watching his cabin grow sturdier each day, James can no longer hide the joy on his face. But as the saying goes, pride brings trouble. At noon, he overfed the wood stove, and in a flash, his worldly goods went up in smoke. Life's like that. You never know whether misfortune or tomorrow will arrive first. Lucky for him, he doesn't nap at midday, or he'd be waking to a very different nickname. His defensive gear melted into a rubbery lump, so next time danger visits, it's grit over gadgets. Still, what's done is done. Best to finish the roof and button things up. Next day, he buys a new tent and treats himself to a handy little toy, boosting his safety out here in the snowbound wild. Time to celebrate with a couple of shots. Why not? Turns out James's casting arm is pretty good too. Looks like lunch will take care of itself. Fuel up first, work hard after, that's the rule. With damp cold creeping through the forest, he raises the floor frame half a meter off the ground, anchoring it firmly to the log walls. Sized joists slot into place between, forming the bed of the new floor. Life alone can feel a bit quiet, so he also sorts out a stable internet link. With a fresh receiver, streaming on long winter nights gets easier. Back inside, work continues. A plastic vapor barrier seals the underside of the joists, followed by wire mesh for critter-proofing no snakes, bugs, or mice chewing through. Insulation is the heart of a winter cabin, so he packs thick bats between every joist, locking out the Arctic air. no more icy feet on January mornings. Since finished flooring comes later, he caps it with plywood for now simple and solid, then keeps at it, framing out the remaining floor area. As the days warm, weeds surge, so he regularly clears the brush around the cabin with the occasional curious critter dropping by. The doorway's too tight for a broad-shouldered guy, so he doubles its width with the saw. Out here, your first line of defense is the door, so he builds his own, heavy and stout solid 2-centimeter boards, the kind even a black bear would respect. For peace of mind, he fits a proper lock, no more worries about intruders. A year has nearly passed since breaking ground, and some logs show hints of mildew. James blasts the walls clean with a pressure washer, then brushes on wax oil for moisture and rot resistance, stretching the cabin's lifespan in the cold. He even rescues the odd sapling in need, transplanting it to his land to thrive. With steady rain in these forests, raspberries ripen early, and wild blueberries turn sweet and plump, no shortage of fruit for a forager. Afternoon sunlight pours in warm and soft, the kind that makes your shoulders unclench. To flood the interior with that same glow, he plans a few more windows in the walls. Once cut and framed, the cabin brightens instantly. Because the foundation wasn't backfilled earlier, there's a gap between the floor and the ground. He skins it with wire mesh to close it up, so no Jerry the mouse can move in. Between the logs, he stuffs tight coils of rope fiber, sealing every last crack against the winter wind. No drafts, no mercy for the cold. By afternoon, the custom windows arrive perfect timing. All pre-measured to size, they slide into their openings like a glove. A snug fit means warmth even in deep snow. Thanks to accurate measurements, installation is a breeze. With the measurements spot on, installation is a breeze. The next day, a friend's coming to visit, and since squatting isn't exactly his style, for the best guest experience, even in the snow, James pulls an all-nighter to build a proper toilet hospitality first. A few glasses of crisp wheat brew later, they row out onto the lake and cast a couple of lines freedom in the cold, and it feels incredible. The loft future master nook gets a small window to scout the snowy woods. Same treatment for the living room, pushing indoor daylight up a notch. The tent's heater is far too weak, so James buys a new wood stove the next day. But before installing it, the floor needs finishing. To match the cabin's style, he chooses light oak flooring, tough under boots, and easy to maintain through snowy seasons. A bit pricey, sure, but no real downsides. Once done, he brings the stove in, cuts a clean opening through the new roof, and runs the chimney safely to the outside a tight seal, and the install is complete. After his old dog passed on, James brings home a Greater Swiss Mountain Dog and fences the area so the wild neighbors don't make trouble. One careless moment, and a pup could become someone's dinner, no thanks. There's attic insulation left from the floors, perfect for beefing up the roof. He wraps it with plastic sheeting outside to keep moisture from wicking into the warm layers. With outdoor gear piling up, James decides to build a storage shed. He even buys a new cutoff, saw wood, processing just got easier. Yep, he's willing to invest where it counts. For rock-solid strength, he sets 6 posts deep into the frozen ground. And that's not all. Rebar plus concrete, the magic combo forms 3 stout footings in the center. Next day, he trims the post tops level, so everything stands at the same height. Built to last for generations, every board is flame-charred for rot and pest resistance, tough against snow and damp. It's only a utility shed, so the framing stays simple. At his current pace, it's practically a layup. Before long, the main skeleton is standing. Only downside: lots of torch work to keep the build moving. So he has to hike for gas refills now and then. Step by steady step, the shed takes shape. The front clearing won't go to waste. It's perfect for a snow view deck. With his experience banked, James quickly frames the base, then locks down the deck boards. Tea and winter sun here? Absolute bliss. Next day, a heavy snow blankets the forest. Everywhere, nothing but white, a vast, silent sheet of winter. James hauls his network gear indoors. With the stove glowing, it's springtime warmth inside the storm. He toasts a few sausages for good measure. Tell me this snowy cabin life isn't enviable. Since it's no day for outdoor work, restless James upgrades the roof from indoors. The panel's built-in air channels make installation almost effortless. Click, set, and the snow shelter gets tighter. By next morning, the sky finally breaks clear. James realizes the shed still needs a roof. He fastens the purlins in place up top, then lays on the color steel roofing panels to finish the shed's waterproofing. It's well below freezing outside, but nothing slows his snow country hustle. Morning starts with a sweat-soaked sauna, then a plunge into the ice-cold river, pushing winter survival to the limit and kicking off a crystal-clear day. For easier trips between floors, a ladder is a must. He picks 2 stout timbers, pins the tops to the loft edge with steel pipe, adds treads done. But the setup lacks flexibility, so he splits it into 2 sections, links them back with hinges, and boom, now it folds. To win more indoor storage, James decides to widen the loft. He ties the rafters together with short braces, stiffening the whole frame, then skins it with panels. Maybe it's love for the new home, but he's still working by lamplight at midnight. Next day, he mounts the folding ladder. It'll steal a bit of living room light, but it fully encloses the loft, so at night he can finally sleep easy. With winter half gone, the cabin's weak spots show up. Even with rope caulking in the wall seams, James still feels a chill. This time he swaps in foam backer rod, whose shape seals heat in better and fights moisture creep. Then he runs a bead of sealant, brushing it smooth and tight, no more winter drafts sneaking through. The results are instant. Indoors climbs past 20 degrees and he can finally relax. Still, the room feels a bit plain, so James rolls up his sleeves for some DIY. After a year of practice, his winter carpentry is dialed in a solid wood dining table, hand-built and set by the window, at just the right height, perfect for shows or work while the snow falls. He mounts his gear neatly on the wall. There's that snug, safe feeling. Since moving in, he's been sleeping on the old bed frame, which makes turning over a chore. Time to upgrade the basics. It looks like an oversized pallet now, but add a good mattress and the winter bedroom becomes bliss. Even unexpected company could bunk comfortably. As his homestead grows, so does the power demand. He expands the solar array from 2 panels to 8 winter power worries, gone. Spring arrives in a blink. The frozen river loosens and runs. Neighbors stir from hibernation, and the forest breathes again. James kicks off a new round of outdoor builds. Deck boards take a beating sun, wind, snow, so he extends a covered porch out front. For strength, he first upgrades the support posts. Once they've cured, he rebuilds the foundation frame. The lumber's clearly beefier this time, and he drives 20-centimeter spikes through every joint. Outside, he adds angle brackets for extra bracing, so even a blizzard's gusts won't knock it down. Then, the deck boards go back into place, and posts under the eaves take the porch load. That way, the overhang can carry winter weight. To marry the porch roof to the cabin, James removes a section of the old eave, fastens new rafters along the line, so both frames share the same snowy pitch. Plywood sheathing goes down, sealing the porch roof tight against snow. He's done this before out here, so the repeat build is smooth sailing. But the grade on the far side is too steep, so a ladder won't sit safely on ice. James clears the grasses and brush, extends the deck frame farther outward, drops in joists and skins it with planks, and now he's got a safe winter work stand. In quiet moments, James lays out the next season's plan. A garage, a bigger bath, and a proper cold-weather gym. Looks like he truly means to stay through winters. Thinking long-term, he'll plant pines and oaks for the future. A small legacy for kids yet to come. The garage is simpler to build, tucked beside the storage shed. It doesn't need to be huge, just big enough for the ATV in winter. With the new saw, lumber work is quick and clean. Forest weather flips fast. Clear skies 1 minute, sheets of snow rain the next. When it eases, he finishes framing what remains. The roofing panels are still delayed, so James jumps to the next task. Before expanding the winter bath, he clears the brush behind the cabin. Sharpen the tools before the storm. As they say, for real efficiency, a small machine is worth it. With a bit of modern help, an afternoon opens a broad pad of ground. He even unearths old farm iron, rusted by decades of snow and thaw. Because heavy drill rigs can't reach through the woods, he'll dig the well himself. First, shovel down by hand, then send an auger deeper into the frost line. When the hole's ready, drop in the intake pipe at least. That's the plan. Only a trickle seeps in, so he shifts to a new spot and tries again. This time behind the cabin, right where the bath will go. He hooks up the pump, tests, and tests again. A whole day melts away in the cold. Maybe the pump's losing seal, he figures, so he swaps in a manual pitcher pump. Water shows up, but from a different bore. Time to change tactics. He digs a deeper pit nearby with the little loader until water rises. Then he buys an oversized culvert, wraps one end with fine mesh to strain out coarse sand, and backfills the pit with stone. The water looks cloudy now, but give it time to settle, and it'll meet daily needs just fine. By next day, the back-ordered roof panels finally arrive, ready for a snowy install. At last, the cabin's roof can be fully sealed against the snow. With water and power in the wilderness finally conquered, his life here is now secure and steady. After 2 full cycles of seasons, James has learned to live in rhythm with the forest itself. His daily routine now flows with purpose and peace, and if he keeps this spirit of endurance alive, no matter what lies ahead, no matter how harsh the winter storms, they'll all melt into brighter tomorrows. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the little bell so you won't miss any of our next exciting house building videos. Finally, share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next adventure!